Welcome to the Beefy Boys Breakdown, episode 124. We're recapping UFC Fight Night, Vera versus Sandhagen, and we have arrived at the main card. We just went over the prelim, so if you're interested in that, check out that and some other videos on our channel. And go ahead and hit subscribe so you see whenever we go over every single fight on every single card, every single week, pretty much. And jerking the curtain on this main card, we got the 37-year-old Daniel Pineda plus 235 dog taking on Tucker Lutz minus 280 in the featherweight division. Not a lot of big boys on this card last night, but that's okay. Small guys came to put on a show.
Yeah, no doubt. Oddly enough, you'd think in San Antonio, a place that's like literally sea level, you would get a lot of bigger guys down there.
I didn't even factor in the elevation.
Yeah, because like if you want to do a Mexico City card, a Denver card, these high elevation places, you got to bring lighter weights, right? Like you just have to. I mean, you don't have to, but like it doesn't make sense to put the bigger guys at the cardio risk of having the thinner, less oxygen in the air is not going to help anyone. So you'd think anyway, San Antonio Riverwalk, very, very close to sea level city. You would imagine they would have brought some bigger guys. Now that being said, I think they did a great job of bringing 8 people from the state of Texas that are like, I guess, really representative of Texas for their local gyms and mixed martial arts scenes. So that was good. Obviously, a guy like Derek Lewis would be the big sell on this, but not anymore. Not these days.
Yeah, not these days, man. Derek Lewis has been so disappointing as of late. But yeah, we got Pineda versus Lutz up first, and Vegas was super heavy on Lutz at the minus 280. I think that's the biggest money line we had to this point of the card. And this was a kind of a no bet for me because it's not that I necessarily was going to stick my neck out for Pineda, but I just did, as far as minus 280, eating the minus 280 on Lutz, I was too rich for my blood.
Oh, yeah, I mean, quite literally the biggest favorite, biggest underdog on the card is this fight.
And so, yeah, Lutz coming off a loss to Sabatini, who Sabatini is a good fighter, but
yeah, I mean, I like Sabatini a lot, but it's not like Pineda's bad, right? Or Pineda's a bad fighter, but honestly,
Pineda has wins over Herbert Burns, lost to Cub Swanson. So, two guys, good matchmaking because just two guys kind of middling their way through the featherweight division.
Yeah, and kind of going to be very telling of like which one's still going to be caliber where we want to keep our eyes on him, keep building him, and which one do we kind of want to throw to wolves and make him earn his way back in our graces.
Well, it's weird too because even going back to his PFL days, Pineda has fucking 3 no contests in his last 6 fights.
It's a weird deal.
That's real weird. I don't even know how to really feel about that. But either way, nothing I'm really looking at tells me like, oh yeah, I'm making Lutz 3-1 favorite here. So just a weird money line for me, and this fight ends up being super fucking close.
Yeah, fully agree with that. Now, granted, I will say at the start of the fight, man, Pineda was landing like really slick counters, was butchering Tucker Lutz's leg, landed that massive counter right that sat Lutz down momentarily. I mean, fun and interesting round, and I thought both guys were getting damage off. Everything I said.
Yeah, both guys were cracking.
Everything I said right there was credit to Pineda. Lutz was landing big bombs to the head. Most of his was just like had the headhunter kind of a work. Whereas Pineda
he was countering those calf kicks,
right?
Like, and it was one of those things where it was like working, but like not good enough. Because I still gave round 1 to Pineda.
I did
largely
as well.
Due to the knockdown and just the calf kicks, and he ended the round strong, kind of the duration of the round. But so Lutz, you can't really say his strategy wasn't working because he was cracking Pineda on the chin.
Oh, it was super close. Like he was like cracking him, but that overall damage across like feet to head, I thought Pineda was getting more off in total.
I totally agree. So we both have a 10-9 Pineda and 1. Now, round 2, it ends due to a guillotine 2 minutes and 50 seconds in, but like how we got there was kind of a wild sequence. So we have a clinch knee to the head, which is like it results in a knockdown, which he jumps Gilly once when he has him hurt. Lutz is able to defend the first guillotine, but then Pineda transitions to the back, then transitions to mount, and then locks up the mounted guillotine.
And then rolls to the side.
Yeah, it was a fucking hell of a sequence there. I mean, really, like, just the ability to, like, It's kind of like how Cormier always talks about like wrestlers needs to shoot and then reshoot. It's like he like guillotine attempt to re-guillotine attempt. It was like, I don't know, it was just a nice little sequence there.
Yeah, chaining those attacks together, right? Like going from one submission to another, to a position advantage, to another position advantage, back to a submission.
1,000%. I thought it was beautiful. I mean, Pineda, you know, he's a vet. He hasn't been in the UFC a long time, but he's been in the PFL, has some high-level experience. And, yeah, I mean, impressive. You can tell the skill set's there. Now, will his name value and all that kind of catch up? I mean, he's 37 years old. I don't really know what the future looks like for Pineda. Like, I don't know if he has enough time to really make a run at featherweight. But, and I'm not saying he's like a world beater. I'm just saying, like, the skill set was impressive. I mean, the striking was showed in round 1. High-level grappling showed in round 2. I mean, good skill set for Pineda.
Yeah, I definitely like his skill set. I mean, I thought he showed counter striking. I thought he showed clinch striking. I thought that, like, good cardio. Like, I don't think either guy was necessarily tired at all.
No. And, yeah, like I said, I mean, it's not like I was bullish on Pineda. This was more of a no bet than take the Pineda dog. But I thought minus 280 was too big for Lutz. And in a way, that was kind of proven right.
Yeah, and in a way, also, it's almost one of those fights of like, well, if this is the biggest odds differential on the card, and I really like this plus 235, that might have been a good dog pick. If, you know, because a lot of these are minus 110s, minus 130s.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to get a dog with a lot of value. So, like, at this value, this might have been the best dog to take, just based on what we know about Pineda and what we also, or rather don't know, and what we do know about Lutz.
Yeah, for sure. And also Pineda, insane stat. 28 wins, 100% finish rate. Fucking wild. Now, a lot of those are lower level wins. Yeah, Pineda's fought for all 3 major promotions besides one. He's fought for UFC, Bellator, and PFL. That's wild. He had 2 no contests in PFL, went 1-4 in Bellator, and now is currently 5-5 in the UFC. Jesus. So, I mean, the saltiest of, like, just, like I said, the skill set's there, but just a guy that things just seem to not really, like, work out for him, just seem to not really align. Because, I mean, he's obviously not bad at the sport, right? Like not a lot of people can do what he did, you know, Saturday night. It's just, you know, for one way or another, things don't shake his way that often.
He's almost one of those guys of, like, which Pineda do you get? Do you get this one, or do you get the one that fought Cub Swanson?
Yeah, very, very true. But let's keep it pushing here. I was very interested in this next matchup. We got and also, in my opinion, kind of a controversial decision here. We got Chito and Jokuani, minus 155 favorite, taking on Albert Duraev, plus 135 dog. Some more of these tight money lines like we've been talking about in the middleweight division. And, man, breaking this one down going into it, I love me some Chito, man. I didn't bet it, but I did pick it on Verdict. I thought Chito by KO was like damn near a lock. Like, Duraev has proved to be pretty chinny. He gets knocked out, and Chito knocks people out. Chito, the much bigger man, the much more athletic man. Now, Duraev, probably the better grappler, probably the better wrestler. So we've seen that movie before, but I really like Chito by KO going into this one.
I don't hate that take at all, right? Because if Chito wins this, you'd think that it's going to be by a finish, and if that's going to be a standing finish, or probably ground and pound after he drops him. So all that being said, I think that's like path to victory is the best path to victory, and at minus 155, you might as well go get plus money and just say you'll take him by TKO there.
Yeah, exactly. If you were going to bet in Jokuani minus 155, you could have juiced the fuck out of those by calling the KO or TKO. Or usually they give you DQ on those when you take that prop too. So,
yeah, KO, TKO, DQ.
Gives you a few different avenues there. Now, that being said, man, I thought Duraev came out strong and won round 1. Not only did he have 2 takedowns, he was very active with them. You know, sometimes you'll hear us say, like, well, he got takedowns, but what did he do with them? He did quite a bit with it. You know, good damage, good ground and pound. I didn't really think there was that much controversy. I thought Duraev won round 1 pretty clearly.
Yeah, I thought round 1 was pretty clearly to Duraev, right? Like, got the takedowns, got the control time, mitigated the damage that Duraev was able to do, or I'm sorry, mitigated the damage that Njokuani was able to do the whole round. Essentially, it like showed me like if Njokuani stays on the feet, because for the small instances they were on the feet, he did look good, but in the grappling and clinch exchanges, it was all Duraev.
Yes, for sure, man. That being said, round two looked how I thought this fight was gonna look, man. I thought in round two, Chidi was kind of getting off on the feet, landing straight punches, able to keep it standing, was kind of wobbling, hurting Duraev with the strikes. Round two is kind of in my mind's eye how this fight was gonna look, and I thought Chidi looked fantastic in round two. I gave it to him 10-9.
I thought that it was a really close round.
Really? Okay, fair enough. I thought Chidi won it I wouldn't say by a landslide, but I thought he won it clearly.
I thought that it was still pretty close. I mean, Duraev was able to slide, I think, a lot of those shots. And I will say that Njokuani landed harder, but he was never putting pressure on, so he was always striking off his back foot. And Duraev was able to continually get into those little clinches. Wasn't able to really get the takedown, but mitigated still a lot of damage there. I leaned to Njokuani, but I had that as a really close round.
Fair enough. Thanks for bringing that perspective for sure. I had my Njokuani goggles on. Now, round three, once again, I guess I just wasn't seeing this fight. I was seeing it in my own way, kind of like how you saw. You were seeing which one were you seeing? You were seeing, was it Trevin Giles?
My Giles goggles.
Yeah, I just had on my Njokuani goggles, I guess. I thought round three, once again, I didn't think it was that close. I very confidently gave it to Chidi. I thought those huge left kicks to the body, there was I think 4 of them that landed. And you're like, okay, kicks to the body, how bad could it have been? They were gnarly. I mean, they jumped off the screen to me. They were so powerful, Fazeev-esque, huge damaging body kicks that were landing flush. And then more straight punches. I mean, I don't really know. I'm sure maybe you can bring it to the show. What did Duraev do so good in round three? Because I had round three for Chidi. I thought clearly, but maybe I'm a crazy person.
I'll say this. Duraev did nothing good in round three. No judge scored it for him, and nor did I.
Okay.
I think that's the most clear round of the fight by far. At no point is he even able to get into a standing clinch with Njokuani, really. Chidi is not accepting any of those positions any longer. In the second round, he started to not accept them, but would still engage in them. The first round, he was literally on his back. So it was this progression of Chidi, got grappled, lost the round easy. Kind of got grappled, started to find his range, got a good amount of damage off. In my opinion, won the round. And 2 of the judges' opinions did not win that round. Sal D'Amato and Dan Mergliotta, who we usually respect, not Dan Mergliotta anymore. And then, we'll get to that. And then, round 3, all the judges agree, which is Njokuani winning. Which I thought round 3 stood out because, like I said, it was all at the range of a long-range fight. And Duraev looks uncomfortable in a long-range striking fight.
And so, yeah, like I said, you could hear by my voice now that I was shocked when this went split decision for Duraev. 2 judges gave it to Duraev. I guess it all came down to round 2. Maybe I should go back and rewatch it. Probably won't because this fight didn't matter all that much. But watching it live, and I wasn't even all fucked up or anything. Watching it live, I don't even have the word close in my notes. Now you do, and you sold me on it. Duraev did some things in round 2. I still, man, I feel pretty bullish about giving round 2 to Chidi, and I think it's a little funky that 2 judges gave it to Duraev.
I also think the damage on Duraev's face at the end of the fight shows Chidi won this fight. Anyways, it comes out 2 judges do have this 29-28 Duraev. 1 judge agrees with us, Chris Lee, 29-28 Chidi. I thought, I'm not going to go as far as say robbery, but I do think the wrong guy won.
I think the wrong guy won. Was legitimately shocked. I thought it was 2 rounds to 1 Chidi, wham bam, keep it moving. I was not bracing myself. For example, on the Parsons Giles fight, I was expecting a split decision. Hell, to a certain extent on Alvarado Salvador, I was kind of expecting a split decision. We didn't get one, but I was not even expecting it. And then when it went split decision, I was like, okay, somebody saw 1 round for Duraev, fair enough. But then when Duraev won, like I said, I was pretty shocked. Like I don't care that much, but not a big fan
Right.
of that
Isn't
decision
it a
at
weird
all.
fight? Because it's like not that impactful really by any means. So it's like not the fight that's going to just stick with us and be like, man, that fight was fucked up. But it is like,
Exactly.
man, that's surprising. It's almost like how it's a smaller version of, to me, of like the Dolidze Vettori fight, where like their Vettori's in, and I
Yeah.
was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you're right. That is a good example. Same division too. Yeah, middleweight judging's been pretty screwy lately. But up next, man, we got some women's flyweights.
The judging
Pretty.
gets screwier.
I agree. I agree. The trend continues, and I think we're going to see this one the same way. We got Andrea Lee, ranked number 11 flyweight, plus 230 dog. The 24-year-old Maycee Barber, minus 275. Number 13th ranked flyweight. And I felt the same way about this money line as I felt about the Pineda Lutz money line. Like, it's not that I necessarily would have bet Lee because I didn't bet it. I had every opportunity to. I was at the sports book. I just thought that Barber minus 275 was way too big, and that Andrea Lee actually matched up pretty good with her and was kind of proven right. Like I just Maycee Barber was not 3-1 better than Andrea Lee, and even regardless of how the decision goes, that was proven.
100%. I also would just say, like, on paper, Andrea Lee is much more technical than Maycee Barber. Maycee Barber's technique has really been kind of like put to the fire recently with her latest fights, where like you're starting to see like when she looks so good in her start in the UFC, clearly the caliber of opponent has affected how well she can fight.
And is like perceived, right?
No doubt.
Yeah. So that being said, round one, I did think it was a very, very close round. I leaned to Andrea Lee. She had the takedown, like 2+ minutes of top control, and I thought it was pretty even on the feet. So like that's how I arrived at giving it to Lee. Not saying that Maycee Barber didn't have success. She did have success, but it wasn't like overwhelming success. And I thought it was pretty much a toss-up on the feet, the exchanges on the feet. And then Andrea Lee gets the takedown in 2 minutes of control time. I went Andrea Lee in one.
Did she have 2 minutes of control time when her hand was behind her back, held by by Macy's legs, and she was elbowing her in the face? I mean, is that control when you're eating elbows from top position and you can't defend because your arm is trapped?
I feel you. That was obviously not the whole 2 minutes that it was
No,
like
it was.
that.
It was
That
probably,
position did happen.
probably 20 seconds, but it's a lot of damage, and Andrea Lee got no damage off on top. Like she took more damage. She took more damage being on top than being in control.
I'm trying to think who did that last week. Somebody got a bunch of damage from the bottom with elbows last week. Who was that? Who the fuck was that? I'm trying to think.
We also got to talk about the position that she got her trapped in and how that's a potential new submission. Because Maycee Barber didn't realize it in the moment, but the way she had her arm trapped, if she lifts her elbow up, she can pop her shoulder out.
Sorry, I'm stuck on this. Last week there was a fight where somebody was getting a bunch of damage off from the bottom.
Let's see. Last week in UFC 286,
I could have sworn something very similar happened last week.
Was it Jack Shore?
Was it Jack Shore? Fuck. I guess it doesn't really matter, but
You know it wasn't Oh, it was Jafel Filio.
yes. That reminded me very much of Filio, which I guess I'm a hypocrite because I believe I gave that round for Filio last week. So I just don't think it was like bad as what Filio did. Like I don't know. Barber, I don't think she cut Lee. Lee was able to kind of eventually kind of improve that position. She didn't like stay there. I don't know. So it sounds like you went Barber, I went Lee.
I did. Now, when I watched this fight while I was at work. I was at work when this fight was on, and then I went home and watched the rest of them live from there, and then watched them back. But watching this with no volume and not really being able to pay like too close of attention, I thought Lee like won it in the landslide. Now, when I watched it again, Barber's just getting off so much more damage, and that's like really where I like found myself struggling was like Lee is winning the positions and like looks better with the techniques because Barber's just kind of marching forward. But Barber, when she would land, would do like big damage with those shots. And then on the bottom was literally landing like flush elbows to the side of Lee's face where she couldn't defend.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. So what was the final decision?
So I did go 10-9 Barber there. Almost solely based on damage too. I mean, because like I said, that control time I want to award the 2 minutes of control, but for like 20 to 30 seconds, really not in control.
What? How'd the judges see it?
That is a good question. So the judges all scored the first round to Maycee Barber.
Wow. All righty. I'll eat that one. I'll wear that one. Now, round 2, another very close round. You had Lee with another takedown. Much better ground and pound damage in round 2 for Lee. She kind of busted up Barber's nose a little bit. However, that being said, I liked Barber's work more in 2 than I liked in 1. Barber looked way better on the feet in round 2, like had a lot more success on the feet in round 2 than she did in round 1. And she got her own takedown. And the way I saw it kind of oversimplified, boiled down, is like Barber pretty much won the first 3 minutes of the round. Lee, you could argue, won the last 2 minutes, but not in like a super impactful, damaging way. So I leaned Barber in 2.
So oddly enough, I had Maycee Barber ahead in round 2 as well until Lee got her last takedown, got on top, and then was doing a lot more damage, a lot more ground and pound.
Yeah, that ground and pound damage was probably the most damaging moment of the fight. At that point.
Right. So I thought it was effective. So therefore, I thought Maycee Barber slightly ahead on the feet in damage, maybe not even slightly, maybe just straight up ahead. But Lee being able to get that control, win the first scramble in the middle of the octagon as well in the start of the round, and then to finish the round, I gave it to Lee.
So we're seeing this exact opposite, but important to note, have the same score going into the third.
Yeah, absolutely. So 19-19 for both
Shows
of us.
how close this fight was.
One judge does have the same scorecard as me, Chris Lee. 2 judges have Maycee Barber winning 1 and 2, up 20-18.
No judge agrees with me. That's interesting. Now, round 3, I thought was actually like the least close round of the fight and the easiest round to score of the fight. I thought round 3 was clearly Andrea Lee. She got 3 takedowns, and I'll admit it wasn't a ton of damage or control with those takedowns. But she did end the round on top. Barber wasn't getting a ton of damage off on the feet either. She was mainly defending those takedowns and working to get up in those takedowns. However, she got that kind of athletic kind of slam takedown of her own, which did kind of pop off the screen. I just don't think it was enough to really overcome the work Lee had done over the course of the round. I don't know. I felt pretty confident about giving Lee 3. It's the only round I don't have the word close in my notes.
Yeah, I wrote close fight, but the most clear round. That's literally how I wrote this round in on my notes. I thought Lee with the 3 takedowns. I thought Barber was doing a good job. Credit her to not accepting that position and would continually fight her way back up. Now, however, I thought Lee was able to get off some good damage in round 3 as well as get those takedowns. I had round 3 to Lee. I had 29-28 to Lee, and I even wrote that I could see a 30-27 to Lee.
Yeah, this fight was really wild to score. One judge goes 29-28 Lee. That's what I had, and now they arrived there a different way. Another judge 29-28 Barber. Another judge 30-27 Barber. That
30-27 is a little egregious, man. That third round to Barber is crazy.
You know what? I thought it was more egregious. You're right. The third round of Barber is wild.
Third round's wild. The 29-28 is fine. I don't have a problem with 29-28. I have a problem with 30-27.
1,000%. Now, let's take a quick look at the women's flyweight rankings real quick. Let's see here. Now, after the game, Barber, and I thought she did a good job of kind of narrative building. I don't necessarily agree with her, but I thought she did a good job of narrative building about how, my only real loss was to the current champ Grasso. I think that's a good angle for her to kind of work, even though I don't necessarily see it that way. So she just beat 11.
I think Amanda Hebos is like Amanda Hebos, Lauren Murphy. I could see that.
Yeah, because I don't think you're going to make Maya fight back after the dope performance she just had.
Yeah, and Chikagian's kind of proven to be like one of those top flight girls you have to crack your way into.
Exactly. Yeah, Lauren Murphy's earned no favors, and if they really want to build Maycee Barber, which you get the feeling they kind of do, right?
They love Uriah Faber. They have always loved those guys from that camp.
So I could see them giving Murphy, which would actually be a pretty dope matchup if you're a Murphy fan, because Murphy's been getting outstruck lately, like badly. So to give her kind of a more wrestling heavy opponent, I think that would actually be a pretty competitive fight. But Amanda Hebus is probably the more entertaining fight.
You think Andrea Lee, Cynthia Calvillo's on the table for Andrea Lee next?
You could. Calvillo's such a weird one, right? She doesn't fight often. I think you're more likely to do Andrea Lee, Tracy Cortez. I think they wanna build Tracy Cortez. I think she's marketable. She does good on social media. She her and Brian Ortega split up, but that whole relationship kind of boosted her profile. I think they'd rather build Tracy Cortez personally.
I think you're right. I actually fully agree with that. I think that's an easy sell for them from like a marketing standpoint too. I'll bet that's the next fight.
Yeah, I think that's what you could do with either one of those. You could do Barber, either Murphy or Hebus. Then you do
I could see
Cortez Lee.
I could see Araujo being fed to Cortez too. Because Araujo likes to grapple, and Cortez is a sick grappler.
Yeah, you could do that. You could do that for sure. But up next, man, we got to get to this Nate the Train. The train's leaving the station.
Bonus time.
We got Nate the Train Landwehr, minus 200 favorite, taking on Austin Lingo, plus 170 in the featherweight division. I didn't bet this fight. However, on verdict, I did outthink myself, and I kind of went with Lingo. It was just one of those situations where I was trying to be the smartest guy in the room, and I was not. I was trying to zig while everyone else zagged there. Everybody was riding Landwehr hard because I thought potentially that Landwehr's most recent comeback performance, and like you got to understand, like everybody loves him because of the Onama fight, myself included, but hey, we don't love him if he doesn't almost get his ass whooped in the Onama fight. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
so I thought
agreed.
The like perception versus reality of like he almost lost that fight but got a huge like social boost because of it. I thought it was like maybe an opportunity to like kind of like snipe some value there. Not that I'm even that high on Austin Lingo. I'm just like Nate Landwehr is a guy that like puts himself in position to lose sometimes. So
100%,
like, it was more that was like my thinking.
100%. I think he's one of those guys that like has a very straightforward style and game plan, and what you see is what you get. That being said, he's also incredibly tough, and if you play into his style of a fight or you don't get him out of there within the first like 7 minutes, you're in for a hell on earth of the next 8.
Yeah, I agree. His cardio, his chin, he's a nightmare matchup for, most featherweights. I won't say all featherweights or any featherweight, but the vast majority of featherweights on the roster. That's a tough night out. I'm not saying you can't beat him. Not saying he's a world beater. Tough night out.
100% tough night out. Now that being said, Austin Lingo was finding some success on the feet. I thought Nate Landwehr was as well in the first round. I thought they were trading back and forth pretty evenly for the first like 4.5 minutes of the round, to be honest with you, man. It's just that Landwehr took over there at the very final 20 seconds or so, and that's what led me to score the round 10-9 for him.
See, I'll lean 10-9 Lingo. I did have it very, very close, like pretty much a coin flip. I thought that Lingo was landing to the head. Oh, and the numbers kind of dictated this too.
100%. 100%.
Lingo kind of landed to the head over 20 times, and then Landwehr, at least by the numbers, was much more leg kick heavy attack. You're right. Towards the end, there were some big counters from Landwehr that were landing very clean. So Landwehr did kind of match the damage when it was all said and done. I just thought that, like, to caveman math, I'll take Lingo's punches to the head over Landwehr's leg kicks. I know that's an oversimplification, but kind of boil it down nuts and bolts.
It's probably the right take on it, though. I mean, every judge did score it for Lingo as well, 10-9. I'm kind of on the Landwehr island here, but that's all right. I live on an island out here on this UFC San Antonio card.
Well, the clash of heads cut Landwehr early. which is he's one of those guys with a bunch of scar tissue, has been in so many wars.
Yeah,
So
and
he cuts open.
I tried not to consider that too in my damage.
Me too. I'm glad that the broadcast team did a good job of pointing that out. To their credit. Now round 2 was interesting because I mean, Landwehr started pulling out these head kicks that we haven't really seen a ton from him lately. You know what I mean? Those head kicks. And in round 2, he landed, I think, 3 of them, and he cut Lingo legit. In round 2.
Yeah, and I thought in round 2, Lingo was still fighting back, man. Like never quit fighting back, right? Like was going for it all time, but Landwehr was starting to get off like damage that was visible on Lingo, and then finally was able to get that takedown and kind of get the fight in just like a dog scramble that he clearly was more prepared for.
And I think that, like, Lingo, there was this moment of, like, I don't know, because he has the loss to Yusuf Zalal as his only loss, and now he has this loss to Landwehr. I just think there was a moment in round 2 where Lingo, there was like a welcome to the big leagues moment. Like, Landwehr is like that next tier of guy, right? Compared to the Luis Saldanas and the Jacob Kilburns of the world. Like, Nate Landwehr is a big step up.
Well,
and
it was almost like he had hit him probably 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 times, like cleanly, and was expecting Landwehr to start to slow down or to start to wear that damage. And that is just not how these top tier UFC guys, and that's not even, Landwehr's not even a top 15 guy, but he
probably top 15 chin though.
Yes, exactly. And so for those guys in the top 15, you know, maybe 8 of those guys are you know, in that chin category too, but that is one of those things that you got to learn to overcome.
Yeah, for sure. There was this moment where like Lingo just looked like he was like over his skis. You know, he was just bit off more than he could chew. So Landwehr gets that rear naked choke in round 2. Said outstruck him before that. Really looked great. Had a hell of a promo. You could argue a little bit cringe or whatever, but I'll take that over whoever the UFC wants to give me. Like, he said that shit with his chest. He was entertaining with it. Like I said, you could argue it was a little cringe. You could argue he kind of had gimmick infringement on Chael's biceps, but he very, very Chael Sonnen-esque promo, and I'm not mad at it.
I wasn't mad at it. I do think the line at the end was just like incredibly corny. Like, he came back for that final line. It was like, you should have walked away. You should not have put that last line. And the last line was, that was a sucker punch rear naked choke. That's a terrible line.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. I didn't love that. Kind of like dunked on your own performance, right? Like, sucker punch has like a bad connotation, and it really wasn't a sucker punch. Like not only was it like factually wrong, it like kind of took away from it, and just overall was a miss. Just didn't sound cool. Everything else he said sounded cool until that moment.
Right, like that one didn't sound cool. It sounded like phoned in. Like you really like stood there and were like, "What do I say? What I gotta have one more line?" Like, no, bro. Like, you said it. You did it. Like, the performance was good. Yeah. You killed it with the end.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. And I mean, so Landwehr was originally supposed to fight Caceres on Saturday, who's at the back end of the rankings, and Lingo is a last-minute replacement. So I really think Landwehr's idea was the same, and I think it's just obvious. You got to remake that Caceres fight. That's what you got to do.
100% agree. Landwehr deserves the attempt to get into the rankings, and I think that being said, man, I say we keep it pushing into this co-main. The co-main's super big fight, very impactful, damn near, I mean, rankings-wise, as impactful as the main event.
Yeah, you could argue that this is a number 1 contenders match, and I don't think it ends up being that. It had the potential to be that. I think it just depending on if you view this performance as snoozy or not. I kind of didn't. Let's get to it, man. We got Holly Holm, 41 years old, ranked 3 in the world, minus 240 favorite, taking on Yana Santos, formerly Yana Kunitskaya, married
Thiago Santos. La Majeta.
Thiago. I almost said Tyler Santos. Like, no. But anyway, plus 200 underdog, number 6 in the world in the women's bantamweight division. Man, and round 1 was very close. round one, you had Santos with a lot of super snoozy clinch control. And really, for most of the round, I thought Santos was going to snooze out a 10-9 with the clinch control. But then Holly Holm lands that massive standing elbow on like breaking from that clinch. And it landed hard as fuck and clean as fuck. Easily the most damaging moment of the round. And then she got her own takedown. So I thought Holm was able to like essentially steal the round back because Kunitskaya just did dick. I mean, she pushed her up against the cage, but Kunitskaya, a.k.a. Santos, just, I don't know, the snoozy clinch control wasn't enough. Like, I'll take that one elbow over all 3 minutes of that bullshit, that clinch control.
Yeah, so essentially, it was like the most uneventful clinch control in the cage of all time, like almost no damage. And then Holm like sets up the break and lands that massive elbow that was it 90 seconds to go, and then essentially from there Holm gets what the takedown and side control, ends the round on top.
Yeah.
I had the round 2 or 10-9. I believe every judge did as well. In fact, I know they did. Yes, they did.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, and I will say this too. Round by round, maybe not the most important here, but in fact, how you score round 2 might be the most important.
Yeah, how you score 2 and 3 if you're me. Now, I see. This is where I was feeling generous on this one, Harrison. I was feeling real generous. I'm handing them out.
You handed out a 10-9.
You did?
No, I'm kidding.
Okay. Let's say round 2, 10-8 for sure. I mean, there was like 4 minutes of control time with really big active ground and pound. I mean, the fight was almost stopped, and I wouldn't have even been mad if it was stopped.
Yeah, it was so boring, and Kunitskaya or Santos was doing so little to like fight back. Like it was more like she was just defending and trying to not get her ass beat. And like I'm not here to see someone defend an ass whoop, and I'm here to see 2 people fight.
Yes, and was that the round she got her in the crucifix for a little bit too? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, it's all we've seen a lot of women's fights be stopped from crucifix elbows, and granted, it wasn't like she was a bloody mess or anything. You could argue that Holm could have put a little bit more umph on it and probably did get her out of there. But regardless, only one judge gave it a 10-8 though, but we both did.
Yeah, it was amazing to be the only one judge gave it 10-8. Shout out to Chris Lee. I've agreed with this guy like the whole night through. So just big shouts out because it was Saul D'Amato and Jason Herzog. And like for Herzog to not give a 10-8, but I fucking know you'd stop that fight right there, Herzog. That's insane of you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for pointing that out. I could not agree more.
Like, bro, you're the guy that would stop the fight and you don't. So you're telling me you stop all 10-8s or else you wouldn't score it? Like, that one made me mad. And I like Jason Herzog, but that makes me mad.
Yeah, it's kind of very contradictory, right? Now, round 3, like I said, I was just call me Oprah breakdown because I was handing them out, man. I went 10-8 again, and nobody agrees with me here. Maybe I'm wild.
Funny enough, I did put this is the always common 10-8.5 that me and you talk about all the time. Like, this was the round where like I scored 10-9, no problem with a 10-8. Totally fine. I think the only reason I didn't go 10-8 was because I saw the round before that be so dominant and so damaging that like my 10-8 canyon was so big that I couldn't throw this in that canyon.
Yeah, you're right. And it's a perfect way to describe it because even in my notes, of which I did give it a 10-8, I write in my notes not as much damage as round 2. But I thought round 2 was like surpassed the 8 mark to where there was still some room
that 7.8
this side that you could fall on it. Yeah. Like I said, round 2 was without a doubt more damaging and more the margin for victory on round 2 was bigger. So giving round 2 a 10-8 and round 3 a 10-9, I don't think is wild. I think they were both 10-8s personally. I think giving no 10-8s is worse than giving 2 10-8s in this fight.
I 100% agree, and I also think that if you gave round 3 a 10-8 but not round 2, you'd be super unrealistic, right? So obviously if you gave 3, you had to give 2.
Me giving 2, it's not crazy that I could give 3 one as well.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I agree with you entirely. I have 30-26, but like really like a 30-25.5. You know what I mean? Like, like it was as close to a 30-25 as I could score a fight without scoring it that way. crazy because one judge, 30-26, Chris Lee, and then Sal D'Amato and Jason Herzog both have 30-27s. This is the most dominant 30-27 I've ever seen.
Yeah, I agree. That's a weird 30-27. Now, the only question there is here, was that enough title shot? She would have to jump Pennington and Pena. And I guess this is kind of a hot take. I haven't seen a lot of people out there agreeing with this take. I think the answer is yes. But not necessarily because it was a really, really, really dominant performance. So that factors in. But also, Pena got dog walked in her last fight and has been kind of annoying, not like saying she won't fight anybody but Nunes. Like, I don't know about that. And then Pennington, yeah, she's on a big win streak.
Questionable wins. And
but
boring,
you're right, and
boring
as fuck. That was my next point. I'm going full Dana here. We're like, that's not gonna. But you can't sell shit to flies with Pennington. Fucking. I think Holm would sell more. I think it would draw more. I think it would generate more interest. And Holm being 41, like, what are you gonna make Holm wait till she's 43 to get that next title shot? Like, if you're gonna give it to her anyway, give it to her next. So we get the best version of Holm in there possible.
Okay, but all right, I'm glad that you said that because I fully agree with you. I think next shot should be her for that reason and this one too. As the UFC as a company, how many more fights do you want to have Holly Holm in where you're paying her that big premium? Because she's been a fighter for the UFC for a long time. Like, she gets a big amount of money. And she's,
former champ.
And I'm promising you that this is probably her last run. She's almost 42, bro. Like, there's no way she's going to put together another run. So let's just give her the shot. Let's
get
just
it over
see
with,
it.
right? Like,
right, because
you
can almost bait her retirement out by giving her the shot now. Because if she loses, she retires, and if she wins, she defends, and it's a great story, and you market the rematch with Nunes, and I would bet Nunes would win that, and Holly Holm can ride off in the sunset no matter what.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree it's a win-win. Now, I don't hate the alternative. And Twitter and every kind of other post that I've seen, the general consensus seems to be that the people want to see Holm versus Pena for a number one contenders match. That would be pretty cool too. Like, I'd be down for that. Like, that'd be pretty sick. You could probably do that as a featured bout on a pay-per-view or I don't know. That's probably too big for a fight night main event. I mean, unless you're selling, it's like an arena one, an arena fight night maybe.
I don't know. I go super back and forth on the Holly Holm. Like, how, like, is she a big draw? Like, does she sell for the UFC?
I think. All right. I think if you narrow it down to the women's side, I think if you ask, like, is she a big draw for a woman? I would say yes. Now, you can argue, is that a fucked up argument to make, or should it be viewed that way? I think compared to a lot of the men, no. But I mean, yeah, I don't think that there's 4 women on earth with a higher like Q rating than her as far as like being recognizable to fans and having a lot of FaceTime on ESPN. And
let me say it this way then. Wouldn't you rather have her in a pay-per-view then?
I agree, but I think her and Pena is like a you could throw that on the poster.
I'm just saying not fight night. Like, they're definitely not a fight night.
Yeah, I agree.
So we can keep it pushing, though. I mean, if you want, or we can talk about what you want to do next with Santos, because I think she's in an interesting place in her career too.
Real quick. Actually, I mean, let me look up Santos. I know Santos has fought a lot of these girls already, so I don't want to make any whack takes here. Let's see here. Who has Santos not fought is really going to be how I do this matchmaking here.
Yeah, it's honestly more a question of like what fights are fresh for her and like stylistically what would be fun.
Exactly.
And like
she just lost to Aldana. She beat Vera.
Well, like what young girls can we build off of her too is another question the UFC has to ask themselves.
That division needs youth bad. What do you do, like a Carol Hosa? Or like a Maycee Chasson, or like, I don't know what you do.
Oh,
Buena Silva,
oh my god, I can't stand watching Chasson fight.
No, me neither. That fight would be boring as shit. Do you try to get Misha Tate like a get right fight or like a?
Ooh, that's interesting. I like that. Tate Santos. I like that. That's a get right.
Okay.
That's a good name value. That's an easy fight night co-main.
I could see them doing Bueno Silva too, because for whatever reason, the UFC just like is hell bent on building Bueno Silva. Like,
I don't know if it's the Amazon, or Amazon. I don't know if it's the Saudi money they're taking or what, but the initials MBS, they mean a lot over there.
they just, it seems like the UFC's hell bent on it. But we got a fire main event. Well, I'll be real. I'm going to say it. What we thought was going to be a fire main event. I don't know if I have had a fight give me blue balls like this.
Yes and no, because this fight is almost exactly what I thought it would be. I
just see. I'll be real. I think one guy didn't show up. I think we only had one guy get off the bus, and that just doesn't make for an entertaining fight. Now, if you're a Cory Sandhagen fan, then yeah, you can have your fucking 6 to midnight moment and enjoy the performance. I feel you. But whenever you have two guys not performing at peak, I don't know, bro.
My takeaway is,
do I sound like a salty Chito better? I'm sure I do, but I'm just saying Chito didn't it takes two to tango. It was a one-man dance.
Yeah, and honestly, I was going to point out from my take on it too, Sandhagen didn't do the most. That's not the best I've seen Sandhagen look by any means. It's just Chito for 2 rounds literally wasn't fighting. Landed 11 punches in the first 10 minutes. That's not fighting back.
No, it was terrible. His coaches were calling him out. I did bet. I bet three bets on Chito because I had Chito as a plus 140 dog when I bet it. And it finished at plus 135. Chito Vera ranked number 3 at Bantamweight, taking on Cory Sandhagen minus 155, ranked 5 at Bantamweight. Now, and then I just because how I viewed it, honestly, I viewed it as like a coin flip. So I just went with the value. I purely money line influenced pick. I fully admit that. I knew very well Cory Sandhagen could win this. I just thought Chito could also very well win it.
Oh, and I thought it would be very close if Sandhagen did win the decision. I thought Chito would be in this fight for every single round. Granted, I thought he would start slow, lose early, win late.
Well, and then so check out these props that I found on Chito. So Chito by KO, TKO, or DQ was plus 345. And I was like, well, if he's going to win, it's probably going to be by a finish.
He's not a big decision victor. There's not how he prefers to win a fight.
I did a little Yanni sprinkle on that, but then I saw, hey, let's take a little kind of somewhat of a hedge here because Chito by decision, which you're right, Chito does not win a lot of decisions. His style doesn't lend himself to win decisions.
Sandhagen's tough as hell.
Exactly. It could happen, right? It was plus 550. I had to sprinkle.
Vegas is getting you, dog.
Dude, yeah. So I was just making donations over at the El Dorado. But, I think that if you were gonna bet, now you can call me dumb for betting Chito and not Sandhagen, but I think if you're gonna bet Chito money line, sprinkling on the method of victory made all the sense in the world. Those are some juicy numbers.
So here's what I'm thinking is that honestly, rounds 1 and 2.
Yeah, we don't have to.
Don't really have to discuss much, right? Because the synopsis of it is that Cory Sandhagen's using great feints. He's outstriking Chito. Chito won't even fire back. Chito won't step forward. He has no offense whatsoever.
Though. Sandhagen had takedowns in each of the first 2 rounds with big ground and pound elbows.
Right, and Sandhagen's getting takedowns and getting damage. Chito gets a cut on Sandhagen's head with an elbow off his back on the bottom, and that's the only damage he has for the first 10 minutes.
Literally only damage. You're right. So we both have a 2018 Sandhagen going into the third round.
And so does every judge. And that's super important for these scorecards because no judge has the same card. And I'll let this cat out. It's a split decision.
It is a split decision. Now, round 3, I thought round 3 was very close.
I thought it was super close. I thought 3 and 4 were way closer than people are acting like they were.
Me too. Thank you. Because everybody's been like, oh, that's the most clearest 50-45 I've ever seen.
No. I don't have a 50-45. I think 50-45 is very generous to Sandhagen because I think there's instances where he's losing rounds 3 and 4.
See, I do have it 50-45, but by like a nut hit. But people saying that like, oh, this is obvious 50-45 is like, fuck the brakes here, because round 3 was close as fuck. Chito woke the fuck up. Chito got off the bus in round 3.
And Chito landed the biggest strike of the whole fight in round 3.
Yes, I literally have that. Landed biggest punch of the whole fight. I literally have that in my note. But also, I thought that once again, the volume and the activity, because like we can't shift the bar here. Just because Chito's bar was set so low and he exceeded it, that didn't mean that Cory wasn't more active and didn't have more volume, because he did. And those uppercuts Sandhagen were landing were fucking crispy and beautiful and fucking impactful. They were sick. Now, I gave round 3 to Sandhagen, but like by the smallest of margins. Like I thought it was a very close round, and like the people that gave round 3 to Chito aren't crazy, and the people that are saying how the fuck do you give a round to Chito need to chill the fuck out.
I fully agree with you. I did give round 3 to Chito. I thought just the
you're not
overall,
crazy.
I just thought I agree with you that Sandhagen's activity was good. He did outstrike him again. But I also thought Chito's leg kicks were starting to chop at Sandhagen. He was starting to kind of move and switch away from those leg kicks. Wouldn't stay in range of the body kicks any longer. It started to be like a more like Chito moving forward, aggressive pace. I just think visually, I think all of that kind of leaned to me. And I do have it's the slightest lean to Chito, but like I said, I have it 29-20.
Cheeto better. I was 6 to midnight round 3. I was like, here we go.
And it's
what the fuck?
And it's literally how I saw the fight going. Right? It's like, if Sandhagen wins the third and banks the first 3, then like Chito needs the finish and Sandhagen has the decision locked. And if Chito can come alive by 3 and win 3-4-5, he can win the decision and or probably get the finish if he's alive by then.
Yeah, for sure, man. So I think round 3 was really like the crux of this fight. Like how you saw round 3 is going to impact how you saw everything else. Now, round 4. Round 4 as better than the first 2 rounds, but not as close as round 3. And I had round 4 to Sandhagen as well. Now, Vera, what did start defending the takedowns was big for him, because he was losing the rounds he spent on his back. So he was able to keep it standing. Obviously, you don't get points for that. And he did have a nice little blitzing moment at the end of the round where he started to land pretty big. But it kind of struck me as too little too late. I was like, when he started blitzing at the end of the round and having success and landing very clean and hard, just like where the fuck was that the past 4.5 minutes, bro? Like, I understand you were defending takedowns, and Sandhagen's movement was on point in round 4, really the whole fight. But it's like, I get it. It's not an easy thing I'm asking you to do here. But like you did it, done more of it.
I fully agree, and I think that I think Chito became a lot more defensively sound in late round 3, round 4, and round 5. I think he came to life, man. Like he literally became a fighter halfway through the fight, which sucks because we literally got to see Cory Sandhagen with no dance partner just walk away for 12.5 minutes, and then we got to actually see this fight for 12.5 minutes. And when we actually see this fight for 12.5 minutes, it's a good fucking fight.
Yeah, that's why I'm talking about the blue balls. Like we didn't get what we could have got. Like we got teased. Like it,
True.
Like the potential for this to be an epic, like Gagey Fiziev kind of fight, like existed, and it did not deliver that at all.
So with that being said, I thought Chito, while he did mitigate the damage he took in round 4 more so than any of the previous 3, failed to get his own damage off as much. So Sandhagen barely did edge out that round. Very close round. Much more how the fight should have probably been.
Yes, I agree. 1,000%. And then round 5.
So we both had 39-37 going into this round. I just want to tell you the judges' scores here for everyone at home.
I had it 4. I had every round.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sandhagen.
Yeah, you had it.
I just thought round 3 was so close.
You had it. Yeah. So 40-36 for you, 39-37 for me. You have Sal D'Amato's scorecard. I have Chris Lee's scorecard. Joel Ojeda, who's professionally scoring his 4th fight in his career, and guess what? This is his 3rd fight of the night for the UFC. So that means he had 1 professional fight before this card. And 2...
What are we doing?
It's insane. Anyway, this guy has the fight rounds 3 and 4 to Chito. He has it tied up going into round 5. 37 or
yeah, that's wild. Listen, I don't hate giving Chito a 3, but getting Chito a 4, like for what? Like how?
Like how?
Yeah, that's pretty lame. And then round 5, I did think round 5, I didn't think it was that close. Sandhagen gets the takedown, volume, activity, and then once again, just like round 4, Chito Vera end of round, presses the foot on the gas, starts to have some success, just too little, too late. Where the fuck was that? Not only for the rest of the fight, but for the rest of this round, Chito, and he's admitted as much. He's came out today and yesterday and said, it just wasn't my night. I just didn't perform well. Like, not really making excuses, just like, I let y'all down. I never really got started. These are all his own words. So Sandhagen wins. Bisping came out and made a video on his YouTube channel saying how, like, really Chito beat himself, which is slightly disrespectful to Sandhagen, but I do understand that overarching point. Like, if Chito just fucking goes for it for the whole 25 minutes and puts his best foot forward and lets his nuts hang a little bit, there's a lot of scenarios in which he wins that fight, or at least makes it a lot closer.
Agreed. Now, I think we both agree that Sandhagen learned how to point fight in the sense that and mitigate danger in the sense of, like, he knew Chito needed a finish in round 5. He went for the takedown, got the control, stayed in the safest positions possible, wasn't chasing damage or being crazy or chasing a finish, just knew that, like, needed to just have that control to get to the end of the fight because he was most likely ahead. That being said, that same judge that has his fight tied up scores round 5 to Chito. How?
Like, literally how? Yeah. Like, he got taken down, he got outstruck, he got outdamaged.
I just don't. I can't believe it. So anyway, we do get Cory Sandhagen winning this by split decision, 49-46, 50-45, and 47-48 to Chito, which is just, unspeakable. That man should never be in the UFC again. His name should be barred from all professional fighting organizations. He can't score fights, doesn't know what he's looking at. And that's just simple as that.
Yeah, like, if we know your name in your first ever judging, like, that's not good. It's like an offensive
so
lineman.
bad.
Your first start, you hope your name never gets called, right? Like, we should never know who the starting left guard of whatever your favorite team is.
Like, why do I know Orlando Brown Jr.'s name so well? Because I heard him get flagged for a personal foul every single game his junior year, if not multiple.
Yeah.
That's an insane thing to have as an offensive lineman. Insane.
Exactly.
That being said, let's talk about some futures here.
We got to. And so also Sandhagen with the worst call out of all time, like, literally apologized before doing it. It was so cringe.
It was the most cringe.
So,
hey, Rob, I hear you're hungry. What is I hear you're hungry? Well, I got something to eat, and it doesn't taste good.
Like, dude, are you talking about your penis? Like, what are you talking about here? Like, that definitely sounds like a blowjob offer to me.
Very sus.
Now,
very sus.
And just like I said, how he apologized for it. Like, at least Nate Landwehr was cringe and went full WWE. He didn't say, like, hey, pardon me, I'm about to go full cringe, then proceed to be cringe. Like, you gotta you gotta sell out for the gimmick. Like, you gotta.
Planning a cringe call out is more. It makes it ultra cringe. Like, it's like
but apologizing for it for being cringe before you even do it.
It's all
awful. Bad. And also, honestly, doesn't make much sense to me. So he calls out Marab, who's actually in the house watching the fights, and at face value, Marab is like, "Oh, that's the quickest path to a title fight." But why would you not just call out Sugar Sean? That's going to get you better card placement. It's a better matchup for Sandhagen. It's a striker. I don't understand why the fuck you would call out Marab over O'Malley unless you're just admitting that, like, oh, I can't get the O'Malley fight.
And like,
which I think he could.
And like, the math in the octagon's easy. Like, this guy beat O'Malley in round 1 and I just dogged him for 5 rounds. Give me O'Malley. I want his name.
Why would you not?
Like, how easy is that call out? How easy is that call out? And it's not cliche.
That's the fight I want to see.
And when you just beat number 3 as number 5, and you have a loss to Jan, and O'Malley has a win over Jan, and you have a win over Chito, and O'Malley has a loss to Chito, like, your MMA math's crazy. Let's get this fight. And you're both strikers. Like, Cory Sandhagen will strike with you.
O'Malley is like some like Mortal Kombat level
it's
like
wet
striking.
dream
Like
striking.
that's
Like the feint game is gonna be insane.
The kicks, the knees, they're both like they match up like lengthwise. Like
body build.
Jiu-jitsu style is pretty similar.
Very much so.
That fight is fucking sick. Merab Sandhagen is gonna be like, honestly, I'm saying it now. That fight's gonna be like whack to watch. Now I hope I'm wrong. But
it also sucks too because like when you fight Merab, you essentially give your whole game plan of fighting Aljo away to his gym, and Aljo gets to watch you on paper how he's going to fight.
And Merab has a whole on the tape. They already have the Cory Sandhagen game plan. Like they've already faced him.
Yeah, good point.
Bro, I do not. I hate the call out. Now, Chito yesterday on Twitter called out Peter Yan, which makes sense.
I love that fight.
It's not the most creative matchmaking alive, though. But I love it, too.
Well, I mean, I will say, if Yanez starches Font, Yanez is going to have a lot to say about one of those two guys.
What I was going to say, he took the words out of my mouth. The winner of Yanez Font, I thought, Chito's already beat Font, right? So
yeah. If Yanez gets a win, it's a big deal because he's like making a big rise, big jump in skill level, proving he's like a top 6 caliber guy that he can fight these guys.
Like you put that in a city with like a big Latino population, that's a big draw.
And I'm sure Dana's gonna be down on Chito because like he hates when dudes come out flat. He hates that.
Yeah, and Chito's gotten a lot of opportunities. Yeah, so I think, and then, bro, also we got to talk about the Bantamweight breakdown. Apparently they're doing Cruz Garbrandt 2. Why? Why? No, you don't think that I don't know that they're about their first fight. I do. But both as they stand today, like, what does that fight do for anybody? It doesn't do anything for, I guess, if Garbrandt
it's number 7.
And then for Cruz, you could argue like, well, it's not a young lion. Like they're not feeding him to some young Umar or something.
And vengeance.
Do you think they gave him the choice? Like, all right, you're either going to fight Garbrandt or Umar? And he's like, all right, give me Garbrandt.
I want that. I want the revenge match. And they're like, you don't want Umar. You don't want the ranked opponent. He's like, give me Garbrandt.
Give me the unranked Garbrandt who just had a snoozy ass win over an unranked, barely UFC caliber guy.
There is no number 15 in bantamweight, to be fair. So, could be.
Why is that? What does that even mean? I don't understand.
I don't know. They're gonna have to read it. The rankings will come out tomorrow. We'll see.
Yeah, they come out tomorrow. And then, real last quick. It's weird. I didn't expect this guy to be getting the mandate from the masses, but I saw a bunch of people on Twitter saying they want to see Chito Song Yadong, which would be fun.
Song Yadong getting love like that?
I was shocked. I
don't know about that.
I don't view Song Yadong like that. But, like, I saw it enough times where I'm like, oh, I guess this is a thing. Which, like I said, would be a sick fight. Don't get me wrong. That'd be a sick fight. I think it's a smaller fight. Like, it's not as big of a fight. Like, obviously, Peter Yan, Chito Vera, I mean, that's a Fight Night main event all day. Yeah, I mean, you could argue Vera's Song Yadong is a Fight Night main event, but it's like more of a mid main event.
Doesn't sound the same when you say it. When you say Vera Yan and Vera Yadong, Vera Yan sounds a lot better.
It does. And then, man, who the fuck is gonna fight Umar, man?
Song Yadong.
Song Yadong. Yeah, that's what you do with Song Yadong. Feed him.
Feed the man.
Like a fucking minnow.
Just some jumping carp. Some Asian carp.
Some pinkies to a fucking boa constrictor. Just feed him. But yeah, no, man. I mean, so Sandhagen gets the the split decision win, and I just think people weren't stoked on the fight. It wasn't that fun to watch. It didn't give us any really big highlights. Really,
ultra cringe call out.
Cringe call out. I just ended the night with like a bad taste in my mouth. Ended the night like,
lost a ranked fight of 6 versus 9. Had a 4-fight prelim.
This was a main event heavy card, and then the main event was kind of a dud. So I just had I had like fight fan blue balls. I was just like, well,
Holly Holm kind of dominated, but like in slightly snoozy fashion. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I was just like, that wasn't that cool. Prelims brought the heat.
Yeah, prelims were great.
Yeah, but we're off next week. And then after that, we got the rematch of Adesanya Pereira. That was a quick turnaround, dude. That came up on us fast.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I mean, what is that? Like 6-7 months that Izzy turned around and said, "Fuck it, I'll fight him again."
Maybe 5. It felt quick. It felt real quick.
Yeah, I think it was.
Regardless,
late November, early December. Yeah, it was like. I think it'll be like 6 months by the day they fight, pretty much.
Who do you got? I think we're getting plus money on Pereira. That's hard to not take.
I'm taking Izzy.
Izzy, okay.
I'm the guy that's here's my take. I've ridden red at the roulette. I would have ridden it 3 times and I would have lost 3 times, and I'm not about to switch to black this time because that 4th time's gonna be the time it switches back to red. Does that make sense? Like, I think it's 50-50 every time they fight. So for him to have lost 3, he's gonna get 1 back.
And then we're just going to have a Figueiredo situation over here. No, if Pereira loses, he's going to 205,
yeah,
I think.
Please, God. He's sparring heavyweights.
No, and then we got Burns Masvidal on the co-main, and I'm just such a mark for money lines because like I'm almost talking myself into this Masvidal plus
stop it. Stop it.
I know, and please, like, take my
Stop
wallet.
it.
Don't let me
Gilbert
do it.
Burns is so much better.
He is, but goddamn, like, fucking, is he fucking minus 450 better? I don't know.
It's a no bet then. See,
I'm
Vegas is suckering in your
They
value.
get me, dude. I'm a mark. No, call me Moneyline Mark. Do you think like Burns by sub then? Like Burns by sub? Maybe squeeze some value?
I think you're value hunting now. I think
I
that
know
fight's
I
a no
am.
bet.
I'm searching high and low here.
I think that's a Burns.
No bet.
I think it's a Burns decision.
Yikes! I hope not. And then we got Giannis as a minus 185 over Font. I'm probably going to take that in a parlay.
Yeah, I like that.
Font, just a lot of damage, a lot of miles. I mean, I think he's going to be a lot bigger than Giannis, though. I think that's what we're going to have to, like, he's going to be bigger and stronger.
We'll see if Font even makes fucking weight. We'll see.
Good point. Oh, shit. Okay, never mind. Kevin Holland, I think he's too big of a favorite. I might value hunt there. That's where I might do it. All right, if I give you my word, I won't bet Masvidal. I might bet Ponzinibbio.
Oh!
Dude, I'm just making you cringe with these desperate bets.
Oh.
Plus 225, though?
Oh.
Bro, what is he like? What in confidence has Kevin Holland inspired you in the past, 18 months?
Toughness.
Oh, toughness, huh? Toughness.
Well, I think he's faster than Ponzinibbio. I think he's going to strike more down the center. I don't think Ponzinibbio is going to be able to take him down because Ponzinibbio has like subpar wrestling offense, and he's tough, so he's going to be able to stand in there and get beaten up for 3 rounds.
Yeah, not a lot of good bets, it seems like. Curtis versus Gastelum is like a coin flip. Minus 115 Curtis, minus 105 Gastelum.
What's the age difference there? I would love if that's a big age gap. I would love to take Curtis, but I think Curtis is old, right?
Yeah, I don't think Curtis is younger, but Gastelum's on like a 6-fight losing streak.
But you know what's gonna be sick about that is Gastelum's not gonna be afraid to go forward, and Curtis loves to counter strike, but will not go forward himself. So stylistically, that'll be a fun fight.
Yeah, Curtis is 35.
Sheesh. Gastelum's
probably younger.
Yeah, he's probably like, what,
Gastelum's
33?
31.
31?
Yeah.
God damn, he's young.
But Gastelum, dude, all he
Fight
does
miles.
is lose, no matter what. Like,
all right, you talked me into it. I'm taking Gastelum.
Taking Gastelum just to go against me because my takes are so cold. All right, give me Curtis. Fuck it. Yeah, give me Curtis. But... yeah, I mean, it's fun card, though, what I'm getting at. Fun card. We got Michelle Watterson, Luana Pinedo, Nicholas Mota, Bahamondes. That's a decent fight. Jangli Chiesa? I didn't even know that was on there. That's sick.
Yeah, that's a sleeper fight.
Mearshart Piper, too.
Yeah, I like
Cynthia Calvillo versus Lupita Godinez.
Ooh, also a good fight.
That's some fun ones, man. Looking forward to it, brother. We'll be here to break it down on our YouTube channel. Give us a subscribe so you know whenever we make that video.
Yes, sir. We will see you guys not next week, but the week after for a big UFC pay-per-view card going down in Miami.
287?
287, yes, sir. We'll see you guys that weekend for the breakdown.
Welcome.